I was basically bullied when I was a kid. So I'm currently I'm 55. I started karate when I was 10, but prior to that, I grew up here in Toronto, Canada, um, in the late 60s, early 70s. Racial climate was uh, pretty high in terms of like lots of Asian hate, unfortunately. And yeah, I was
Yeah.
the only, picture day, right? You see the one yellow kid in the corner, and that's me. And what's it? Yeah, it's getting bullied every day. Typical story. Getting pushed, shoved. Bullied from everything from my lunch, what I eat, to my parents, to the clothes I wear, to the things I write with, to you name it, man. And it takes a toll on you after a while. And
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. Uh, I couldn't hide out at home, and I couldn't hide out at recess. So, my dad says, look, we're putting you into something that's going to get you stronger. So you have two choices. You got hockey, or you got this thing called karate. And I said, hockey? No, 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 no. All the white guys are in hockey. I don't want to do that, because those are the guys that were bullying me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I said, okay, let me try something else, because I tried karate because I just wanted to escape. I didn't want to go to hockey. So as soon as I walked in, man, to that club, I saw white people, yellow people, black people, Chinese people, skinny people, big people, small people, people who weren't sure about themselves. And then once I started talking to them, I started to see that they got similar problems than me. And oh man, once the class started, I've never experienced anything like it before. It was like military. We're standing in line. People, this person in the front called Sensei, calling out commands. We're doing stuff, sparring, doing these choreographed moves like kata and stuff. And I was taken in 10 minutes, and I didn't stop ever since. And the journey continues. So, um, yeah, that's how I started.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
I
do
think
you
that was a better
prefer
intro than mine.
yeah, do you prefer the world being having that element of danger in it? Because that's what led you to karate, right? It led you to your
yeah,
passion. The fact
yeah.
that you were bullied. If you weren't in that situation, you would have never taken karate.
That's right.
Are you grateful for the bullies?
100%, man. You know, the more I first of all, kudos to you guys. You speak to a lot of people, so it's really cool that you see you get to see. I'm sure I'm going to ask you this: isn't it true that every single person that you've brought on your podcast has a story to say? They've
Mm-hmm.
got a struggle of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether
Yeah.
it's interpersonal, whether it's at work, whether it's political, right? So there's struggles. So yeah, man, struggles via bullying, via whatever. I mean, I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for that, because I'm continuously seeking empowerment, and I'm giving that back to my clients, and to the people that show up at my dojo here, and at the seminar front, and the people that do come, they all got something that they're dealing with. A lot of people that come to me in particular, uh, karate's is a funny place. It's a lot like an organized religion, unfortunately. Yeah, for real, man. These people are stuck in a box sometimes, and they when I show them that, hey, I came from that box. I've got all those things that you're doing, but the only difference is there's the lid on my box is open, and the sides fall down. So you're not in a box anymore. You're standing on the box, bro. You know what I mean? And you can be free by learning other things. And you know, when I show them these things and show them the power of cross training, uh, they love it. And I continuously get invites, to different countries and stuff. But I'm holding back work because my day job is a school teacher. I have a young daughter too. She's 12, and I'm married, and I'm busy, man. And I love training more than teaching, to be honest. But I uh, I have to. I could say this seminar gig is a retirement plan, so that it's coming soon. I'll have more time traveled the world. But man, I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time so far.
Love
Yeah,
that. Tell us about
Yeah.
cross training. What do you mean by cross training? Like different martial arts?
yeah. So
Why would you do
let
that if you're
let
more
me ask you a
traditional?
question. What's your favorite food, man?
Oh, Middle Eastern
What do you
food
like
for
eating?
sure.
Like
Yeah,
say a
Lebanese.
Friday night, you want to go out to eat. What's your favorite? What's your go to?
Saeed?
I think I think a nice sirloin steak would be nice.
Oh
Ooh,
yeah,
nice
sirloin
one.
steak. All right, imagine eating that every single day though, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh,
You know what I
damn.
mean?
Yeah, I think at some point I'd just
There's only so
I'd
much
be
different
gagging.
sauces you're gonna put on that thing, man. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
so cross training is like mixing things up. It's like sampling and tasting different things. But if you want to use a food analogy, but from an educational content delivery and learning paradigm, cross training is the ultimate way to learn. Once you learn a base art or something solid, you put in like say maybe 10 years in a particular art. um, I think it's time to start looking at other arts so that you can explore your own art better, right? So for example,
Mhm.
karate has striking, it's got stances, it's got all these moves inside the kata, but a lot of the time you don't get a chance to explore it deeply. Like some instructors think that they're doing this, but they're doing themselves a disfavor sometimes, because when you cross train, say a karate guy cross trains against an MMA fighter or a boxer or different styles, um, they don't do that often, and if they do, their system will shut down, right? So it's important to understand. Say for example, if you're going to be uh, trying to improve your striking, why not go to the brain surgeon of strikers, such as a Muay Thai guy or a boxer, right?
Mhm.
Or somebody who's doing full contact fighting for a living, or for a living as a coach even,
Yeah.
because then you'll begin to see that particular skill set, striking and dynamic mobility, along with like good fight cardio and all that kind of stuff, come alive. And so you don't have to do that exclusively, but if you take a good deep dive into it and spend some time with a striker, then you begin to see
Yeah.
all these karate movements come out in your kata. And then now a lot of karate guys claim that there's grappling in their karate. Well, there's a lot of throw type moves, but in order for the grappling to be effective, go train with a grappler, go train with a
Mhm.
wrestler, right? And so this type of thing is now called MMA. And
Mhm.
and MMA is the way to go. And I'm telling you, MMA is evolved, man. And it's not just sport. It's, if you like, I've traveled all over the place. And one of the clubs that I went to was Tritac Martial Arts in Connecticut. He'd be a great guest to bring on your podcast,
Okay, cool.
Matt Breyer. So
Yeah.
check him out.
Mhm.
And if you
Okay,
need,
cool.
if you know him, great. If you don't, I'll hook you up. But
Thank you,
I
Chris.
I went over there, and he has contracts with UFC, and so he
Mhm.
he teaches sorry, he trains some fighters there, but his core curriculum is a mixed curriculum in terms of striking, grappling, trapping, clinch, from a
Yeah.
sport perspective, but also self defense, right? And so they train everything, right? Because fighting is dynamic. So I mean, that's cross training to me. Cross training is, sorry, it was a long winded answer, but cross training is the art and science of studying other arts specifically to grow your own art, you know and
Yeah.
you want to be the best jack of all trades, right? Type of thing, kind of like a general. You've got like a general practitioner as a doctor, and that but then doctors, as part of their professional development, they have to take PD classes and things and workshops with surgeons so that they can understand, specific aspects of the human body experience, right? So it's the same thing, man. It just makes you a better doctor and it makes you a better martial artist, right? When you cross train. Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so does that mean it's better to to do cross training instead of become like a specialist in one type of martial art, or the opposite?
No,
Like which
I
one
think
should
it
people aim for?
I think it depends on what you want, but even the people who are specialists, they cross train. Because, for example, I give you an example. I shout out to Rise MMA. It's a
Mm-hmm.
club in Toronto. It's a Japanese jiu-jitsu club. Um, and they have a great gear, by the way. But anyway, uh, uh, Kelvin Cheung, he's the CEO of and head coach of this place. Um, he's a Japanese jiu-jitsu guy. He's immersed himself in JJJ, And if you know, are you guys familiar with Japanese jiu-jitsu?
Is it similar to
Um,
Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Similar, yeah. So they've got, they do spend time on the ground, but
okay.
they're more self-defense oriented. So
Mm.
they don't want to stay there. So they get up. So they learn how to crash. They learn joint manipulations. They're striking, and but the point is, if you just spend time just in grappling, without understanding that you could be struck back, you could have a weapon deployed on you, at different
Yeah.
ranges. If you're just in isolation, just studying grappling, then you'll see that they're not aware of, say, a hand getting shoved into the pants to pull out a knife. They're not aware of that stuff because it just won't happen in that rule set, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
if you cross train with people who train with knives, if you cross train with tactical combative instructors who are aware of multiple attacker scenarios, people who are aware of different kinds of threats, like hidden concealed weapons and all this stuff, then
Uh-huh.
your wrestling skill set is now just hyper focused now. Like you're looking at your skill set from a 360-degree lens, and that just
Yeah. Yeah.
makes you
Yeah.
a better fighter, man. You know what I mean?
And what kind
Yeah.
of martial arts would be best for learning how this tactical combat awareness, or how to like disarm someone with a weapon, if you're being a or like being in those situations where you know you're in the street maybe and you're getting attacked by someone from anywhere, like those people with a knife, people with a gun. What kind of martial arts would you recommend?
Well, that's a great question. Just like a just like a grappler would specialize, grappling arts would specialize in, say, you have Greco-Roman, you've got BJJ, you got Judo, you got Sambo, and all these kind of things. Um, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Um, Tactical combatives is a big it's a big content. It's a big subject. So there are specialists in that area. So there are specialist styles. For example, you probably heard of them. A commercial one is Krav Maga.
Mm-hmm.
Krav Maga is
Yeah.
one. Systema, right? Russian special forces type of systems there. Pretty much, uh, military special operations. They've got their tactical combative systems. Police combatives. So, like, I mean, uh, these type of systems are worth, uh, you would pay huge dividends if you would have these kind of guys, hire these guys into your gym, maybe do a workshop in your gym, have friends
Yeah.
in this network. Like that's what we've done for Karate Unity. Like I've got a ton of friends in different areas, and part of my grading, for example, my black belt grading is they have to touch hands with all these different people. So one of my first black belts, he had to cross train with combatives instructors, combat sport people, and all these things. But yeah, so
Hmm.
Krav Maga, Jeet Kune Do is another Bruce Lee system. They are very how could I say, they have a huge emphasis on function. I just spoke to on our podcast over here
Mm-hmm.
on our side, Karate Unity. I don't know if you guys followed Burton Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
Burton Richardson is he's an
Okay.
OG in the game. He's a student of Danny Eno Santos, which is one of Bruce Lee's first students, and he's taken JKD to different levels. Like his he does striking, he does kickboxing, he does grappling, he does weapon stuff.
Yeah.
But then a big part of his training is tactical. So multiple attackers, concealed weapons kind of thing, situational
Mm-hmm.
awareness. So
Yeah.
all of that stuff, like Jeet Kune Do is another system that I would recommend, for tactical combative type of training. And
Yeah.
then if you take a look, I mean, pretty much even this, a lot of people don't know this, but MMA is now evolving into this. So a lot of schools are partnering up with tactical combative instructors and using MMA combatively. So, for example, like Tritac Martial Arts, Matt Breyer's team, and even our team here at Rise MMA, we've got law enforcement guys on our team, and
Yeah.
they're black belts with us, and these guys they're like our content specialists, so they're always informing our jujitsu techniques. Something that say we're in guard or whatever, and we're doing some manipulation on the floor. Uh, you know, uh, we would have to be aware of, okay, if they're going to reach in, watch the hands. You got to look at those hands. If those hands are going to go into pockets, I mean, there's a reason for that, right? So you got to learn how to wrist control. You got to, so all these type of things, and you don't want to stay entangled up. For example, you want to get out really quick and escape, because in a self-defense situation, you could have multiple attackers. So what I'm trying to say is that's an example in an MMA club, right? Where there's an evolution there. So yes, it's a combat sport, but it's evolving now into tactical combatives as well, right? So everybody's mixing, man.
Mixing it up, stirring the pot,
Yeah.
heating it up. That's
Yep.
how you got to do it sometimes. And so you can also learn many different things from many different perspectives. My story is a bit different than yours, Chris Hanson, because I saw this movie Romeo Must Die with Jet Li,
Jet Li. Yeah.
and then I was like, that's really cool. I would like to do that. And then so I signed up for martial arts and Taekwondo, and this is how it happened years later. And here I am, still doing it. And I've
Nice.
learned a lot along the way about my life and about death, and then about just how to live a good life. See, I have a question to you about the violent aspect of martial arts. So, if let's say, because we kids are a big part of martial arts too, and so when a parent wants to sign up for karate, but they're worried that they don't want their kid to learn violence, what do you tell them?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you. So fighting is the best metaphor for training, right?
Mhm.
So this is a message that has to be approached very carefully, because especially in our society now, I mean, I think all globally we could say that we've become very sensitive to this whole violent thing, and
Mhm.
it's but the way, like, I'm a school teacher, so I teach martial arts in the school system too. So I talk about martial arts as kind of like how Bruce Lee said, it's the art of fighting without fighting, right? And fighting is important. So by fighting, you don't necessarily have to hurt somebody. If you have good fight training with you, you have a good coach that's going to make sure that you're going to be safe. You're going to wear protective equipment. You're going to watch your athletes and make sure that they're not hurting each other, right? But you're going to push them to the level where the stuff that they've learned is going to fall apart, and that's important. And when it falls apart, what's important is how you overcome that by improvising on the fly, and you only get that with struggle and chaos, right? And just that physical expression unlocks the mental and spiritual piece, where, hey, if you can struggle if you can struggle and push yourself to the limits, man, in a martial art club, then you can deal with what life gives you, like you losing a job, no big deal.
Yeah.
I got this, right? Breaking up with somebody, um, losing money on investments, whatever. Like, if
Mhm.
you get your ass submitted, beaten up regularly in the dojo, you can handle life, man. And I find so this is the message that I tell people, what's missing in your martial art training is you don't fight enough. You need to know how to fight. Fighting is important, and you don't have to be a bad person to fight, right? It's fight training. I think is key, man. So that's how I approach that. It's training. I That's how I tell my clients, and I tell my parents. When I introduce their kids to it, and
Okay.
they come and watch, right? And they get to see, and they're having fun. You got to have fun when you're doing that, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's say if you were the Prime Minister of Canada right now, would you
Ooh,
make it? Would you make it a requirement for every kid to learn martial arts?
100%, man.
Oof.
100%. It'll be like going to the water fountain and drinking water, bro. It's 100%. Like I think the two most important skills that people should have is swimming
Mm-hmm.
and martial arts, because you see these two things are like your freaking seatbelts. Okay, when you're driving, you got your seatbelt and you got your airbags. I mean, car companies make sure that these things are in place. They make sure that they work. How often do you get into an accident? You don't. But when you do, bro, it pulls you back and it protects you. So, you know, human beings, we suck towards each other. We just do. History repeats itself. You go and take a look at the history books anywhere, man, and you're gonna see that we're fueled by fear, ego, and greed, right? And because of that, we're gonna mistreat each other as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
like, think about it. You're bound to get into some sort of collision with a car. It could be a little fender bender. It could be a little scratch. It could be like you're in the shopping mall and something just comes in and dings your car. But you've got some sort of collision with somebody else. It's just like with human beings. Someone's going to say something that's going to piss you off, and if you don't have control, it's going to go down, and it'll just happen. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think knowing martial arts and knowing how to survive in water, those two things are non-negotiables, man. Like parents, they put their kids in so many activities, and I'm saying to myself, okay, that's overkill. Put them in a martial arts program and put them in a swimming program. Done. Once they got that, you can put them in everything else. You know
Okay.
what I mean? But I
Yeah.
don't know. That's just me.
Fair.
That's
No,
just me.
I love your seatbelt analogy. That's so true. You need to have a seatbelt. Even whether or
Yeah.
not you're gonna get in an accident, you still always need to have your seatbelt on. Even if you've never been in an accident in your whole life, you still put
Yeah.
on that seatbelt. You hear that,
Yeah.
Said? Just saying.
Roger that. I will always keep my seatbelt in check.
Me
How are you
too,
doing
um,
man.
that,
s-
Said?
Something that I wanted to learn about is the self-discipline aspect of martial arts, because I feel like it has a similar structure to how or maybe on a lower, like less intense scale as the military.
Yeah.
It teaches you that physical discipline, which then also can feed into your mental discipline. And I think one thing that it does is teaches emotional regulation. But I know about that, but I don't know how that happens. How does that work? Maybe you could enlighten us about it.
Yeah, I'm just taking a note here. Yeah, that is a very uh, good, I gotta say, observation. For sure, there's a lot of parallels between military and martial arts. I mean, if you think about it, it's a default martial arts. Okay, um, uh,
Hmm.
the Chinese character is wushu, so war art, right?
Yeah,
And it's funny because wushu, when you see wushu, you see all these flowery type of athletic type of things, but really, wushu, the actual word wushu means martial art, right?
Mm.
Stopping art. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
uh, martial arts is definitely related to the military. It's a killing art. It's an art to protect yourself, to stop violence from happening with violence. And but
yeah,
the thing is, it's a conundrum because when when without people understanding it and putting time on the mat and understanding this, they would never know that by training so violently and physically when you're redlining your body and your mind, okay, you unlock this spiritual peace, right? Like I could honestly say, okay, I've like, are you guys into cars?
Yeah.
Do you like
Yeah.
driving sports cars?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a rush, right? You redline your car, man. You got to clean out your car every now and then. When you redline your car, you clean it out, right? And you just when you get to that level, you feel this sense of, whoa, I'm drifting now. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
martial arts. If you train at that level, okay, at a very high level, to at a physical level that's so high, you attain this. It's like a yin yang. You attain this peace, right? Um, so uh, to get to your point, martial arts has militaristic aspects because of the way it evolved. You know, as human beings, we struggled. So all cultures developed some sort of protection mechanism, right? Like every single culture on the planet has a martial art, right? And we're all bound by the same principles, rigorous, uh, training to the point of pristine precision, okay? And then you take this to a high level, you unlock this emotional enlightenment. It sounds all airy fairy, but it really, I mean, I've been in this game for 40 plus years, and I've touched hands with monsters, and I've seen that these guys, and ladies too, they've reached this level of like chill. You know what I mean? And you only get that, man, through hard, consistent training. So yes, military. It's related to military out of necessity, I think. Historically, that's how it came about. It was based on protection of your society and all that kind of stuff. And then the training aspect unlocks this emotional regulation. And I'm telling you, if you take a look at people who have put a lot of time into martial arts, I mean, we walk a lonely path. I mean, think about it. It's to be in it for this long says something about a particular person's personality.
Yeah.
What
But
does it say?
I know I'm not answering that part of the question, but that was just an opinion there. But yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question, sir. But
Dirty side?
Um,
You can
the
be
first
honest.
part maybe about the military part, but the second part,
yeah,
what aspect of the self-discipline, like maybe that's I wanted a bit more elaboration on that because like so you mentioned martial art teaches us how to combat violence with violence, and from my understanding, it's actually that is an aspect of it, but it's not the purpose of it. It's
correct.
to I think there's the aspect of like self-defense, but you learn this. It's kind of like a power that you gain, like you have this ability to hurt someone, but that's not the purpose why you learn it. It's just to understand what that power means, because like
Right,
you don't
right.
want to have that power basically once you do have it. And you touched on a point about the self-defense where you were saying also these people that you've met are absolute monsters, but they've attained a certain peace once they reach that advanced level. And I think it's because once they have that power, which if they let go of their emotional control and just let maybe let anger drive take the wheel and just like let that direct the controls of how they operate, then they would become a monster
I
because
think
they're
I
fully capable of being like that.
Yeah, brilliant, man. I just made me think. I didn't really answer your question as deep as you wanted. So I think I know. Let me try again. So okay, when these people that I've met, and I'd love to say, that I'm kind of following in their footsteps because you know everybody's got some sort of a fuse, right? And we all lose it to
Yeah.
some degree, you know. As to how you're gonna deal with it afterwards, your anger and all these things. That's the key. And I find like martial arts is like um is one of the ultimate ways of self-regulating your emotions. I mean, think about it, right? If we weren't emotional, okay, we wouldn't have lawyers, we wouldn't have police people, right? Like, think about it, right?
It's true.
We need all these people to police us because we're emotional creatures, right? So we've got, I mean, whether you want to call it yoga, you want to call it breathing, you want to call it let's have a drink, let's use some substances to calm ourselves down. We need something to regulate who we are. We are emotional creatures, right? So when you train in the martial arts and you train hard, okay, and you put in enough time to understand it, you develop this empathy towards others because you've struggled, right? With struggles comes empathy, right? Like, really, you would not have empathy towards others if you didn't struggle, right? Like think about it. People who have gone through things, a lot of people who have struggled, what do? You can go in a couple of directions. If you want to go in a positive direction, what you're going to do is you're going to help others who have struggled just like you, right? And there are people out there, like a ton of people who've given back to society, right? So martial arts does that. So you get submitted, you get punched in the face, you lose tournaments, you're continuously growing and growing and growing through your belt ranks and this and that. What that does is the moment you face a struggle, and someone gets up into your grill and you come into a disagreement with them, rather than fight them back, you're gonna take a step back automatically from your training. You're gonna take a step back and just say, "Hey, man, you're just making a bad decision. You're probably having a bad day." And you're gonna have that empathy. You're gonna hold back the f bombs. You're gonna hold back throwing down. You're gonna hold back all that stuff. Maybe walk away or find some sort of verbal jujitsu to get in there and turn things around. That comes with experience and that comes with struggle in the martial arts, man. You know,
Yeah.
and that I think is what's that's the connection. The militaristic type of training to
Yeah.
unlocking this emotional regulation. Like we've got, as a school teacher, we've got all these learning skills that we call them learning skills in our district.
Mhm.
Self-regulation, what's it participation, collaboration, all these type of things. And I often ask the
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
like the younger kids, a responsibility, that's another one too. I often ask the kids, the older kids get it, the younger kids, they don't quite get it. But I asked some of the older kids, what's the most important learning skill? And the conclusion is self-regulation, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you think about it, if you and think about it, all of us are trying to control who we are, right? We're trying to navigate ourselves through life, right? Through all kinds of vehicles. Martial arts is just one way, but we're trying to navigate this beast in us, right? The struggle
Hmm.
that we have, that that's informed by all kinds of things, man. Friendships that we had when we were young, interpersonal relationships with our dad and mom, all this kind of stuff, man. It's all part of the fabric of who we are, man. And martial arts, teaches you how to hone in on this several self-regulation skill. It just like I'm sure you could say, even athletes, man, people who are high level athletes, they're the chillest people, man. They're chill. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
To be honest, when you said the take a step back as part of your training procedure, I I pictured you preparing like a roundhouse kick position to to just like take a swing at
Literally
that
take a
person who's
step back.
who's
I'm gonna take
annoying.
a step back and put this foot on that side of your face.
you
I
know,
mean, yeah, that's one way of ending the
the
conversation, right? It's
argument.
just like
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
yeah.
look, man, you don't wanna release this beast. Once the feet start dancing, you you know you won't be dancing yourself.
Yeah.
He answered your question, right, Said?
Yes,
That
Ali,
was an
yes.
answer to the question. Okay. Now
Yeah.
on to the next question. Let's talk about sparring. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Let's do it. And so I was thinking about
Oh God,
Sparring is
yeah.
such a beautiful. It's a beautiful thing because you're learning how to fight by fighting, and
Okay, can I ask you a question? You put the sunglasses on to ask me about sparring? Just
He's ready to go, basically.
oh, you ready? Okay, 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 okay.
so
He'll
Okay.
he'll invite you to close combat scenarios.
Okay. Let's go. Let me get my sunglasses on.
it's such a beautiful thing. For me, some of the most rewarding moments in martial arts is when you're sparring and you land some kind of strike that you could never do before. For me, I've had a few moments where I've been able to like do a spinning hook kick to someone's face and land it, and I'm like, what? I can do that?
Yeah,
That's amazing. It's such a rewarding feeling. But then
yeah.
also it's bad because I'll instantly feel bad that I kicked someone in the face. That's
What's the question though? Again, sorry.
about
Sorry,
about
I
that's
didn't mean that as a slight.
I actually do have a question on this
It's
matter.
been a long day.
What what I would like to know is, so for example, when Ali would do that, he would feel bad. But how would you, like, what would you tell someone who does that kick and lands it and doesn't feel bad that they hurt someone or could have hurt someone? Like, how do you deal with that situation?
Oh well, as a coach, if you've seen somebody who's hitting you and there's no emotional reaction, this guy's a psychopathic killer, man. You know what I'm saying?
that's
Red
not me,
flag.
dude.
Yo, what's up? Get out of my club, bro.
I have
No,
empathy.
no. I mean,
Would you actually report them in that situation? Like, because if they have no remorse and no empathy, that means, yeah, they could be a psycho. Would you tell the cops, or like, yo, this guy might be a psycho?
no, I mean, if I were to see that at the club, people going hard and they're not, not saying sorry or whatever, or not holding back. I mean, you give them a couple of warnings, and if it doesn't stop, you ask them to leave. Refund their money,
Yeah.
whatever, however you want to close up. But I mean, I think it all comes down to culture, man. Culture in the club, corporate culture, your club culture, right?
Hmm.
Sparring is not just sparring is training. It's a training method, right? So that's bottom line. That's the default definition of sparring. It's a training method, and it's a two-way street, right? If I kicked you in the face and you didn't block it, or you got a lucky kick or whatever, then there's two sides of the story. The person who received the kick should say thank you. Okay. Second of all, the other person should say sorry. Okay.
Mm.
But you know what? There should be a conversation going on between both of them and between the coach,
Yeah.
right? Like, look, why did you get that kick? Why? What were you doing differently? Like, what could you have done differently? I should say, and type of thing. And okay, let's now drill. A good coach would say, all right, let's drill this scenario. So if I see a situation where people are landing kicks and they could have, you know, deal with it differently, stuff the kick, intercepted it, use their head movement or took a step back or countered or whatever. And,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and let's just say I taught that, but that's not happening. Well, that's on me because now I'm a coach. Now I got to say, okay, look, these guys are not getting it. So let's work it some more, right? But I mean, I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
answering
Yeah.
your question. I think if
I
first of
can
all, the
give an
culture has to
example.
be set in a sense that uh, you know we go at a agreed upon intensity level,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if we're starting to hurt people, we got to claw back, and let's just focus on the goal here, guys. We're not here to hurt people. We're here to help people, right? And like,
Yeah. Yeah.
nowadays, hard sparring, like, a lot of people think, oh, we spar hard, man. Yeah, let's go. We're a school that spar hard. Let me just tell you, professionals don't even spar hard. Do you know
Yeah.
that? High level guys, they hardly spar hard. They would have, like, in their whole life cycle of right before their fight, they would maybe have two or three really intense sparring sessions, but most of the time it's technical sparring. It's light, 10 to 20%, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun, right? So I don't know if I answered your question. Um, but
I remembered what's it called, Sean Strickland, for some reason when you were talking, and when
Yeah.
he had the sparring session with a Twitch streamer, and he just beat the shit out of him. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's kind of, yeah. It was with Sneeko, and he just like, it was a bit intense, because I know when he, for example, sparred with um, Alex Pereira, he
Yeah.
he was very light sparring with him because he knows
Yes.
Alex could knock him out. But with Sneeko, he just like, he didn't care. Just Sneeko started bleeding from the nose, and like, I think he got a black eye out of it. So he didn't, go easy on him. So in
Yeah.
that situation, it's just like, he came off slightly psycho, but and also more of a bully. So it's like,
Yeah.
you kind of look at it different, from a different lens there.
Correct. Yeah. Well, this is the UFC stage, right? So it's different ball game. But
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris,
Signed.
something that I wanted to ask is, what is an important life lesson that you've learned from martial arts that you think everyone you know, should take into consideration?
Respect all arts. Yeah. Respect it all. You know,
Hmm.
we got to go through the whole Bruce Lee spin on things. You know, you respect all arts, like really, and to respect all arts means you have to understand them, right? Like think about it. If
Yeah.
it goes with like human beings, I respect you. Okay, why do I respect you? Because when you reached out to me, I didn't know who you were, but I
Yeah.
saw the work that you're doing and all the wonderful guests you're bringing on. And I respect the hard work. You know, you're trying to grow your channel
Thank
and
you.
move on from one content creator to the next. I respect you because I know the struggles that content creators go through, you know, and the continuous, you know, revolving door of content, you know, and ups and downs. I respect you. But in order for me to respect you, I got to understand you. And for me to understand you, I have to go through similar things. So so that's how that's the message, man. Like, okay, you could be training in your martial art, you could be training in Aikido and Taekwondo or whatever, but you should respect other arts because they could only make you better. You know, they could only make you better. Like if I'm telling what martial arts do you guys train in, if you don't mind me asking?
TKD.
Taekwondo.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Taekwondo is
Yeah.
very much like karate. We get bad raps, you know, like people who like back in the day when there was a big explosion of Taekwondo schools here in Canada, like we would have a Taekwondo school on every block, right?
What?
And you know there was a lot of McDojo kind of bashing going on. But let me just tell you, I respect Taekwondo big time because I have met some OGs in the game. These guys can kick like they box. Okay, like you know these guys could use their legs like a boxer. And not only that, what a lot of people don't understand is Taekwondo is this. What you see in Taekwondo is just what. When I say you, I mean you know the people
Mhm.
on social media, people like you know without doing deep dives and knowing people, they just see kicking art. When they think of Taekwondo, they think of kicking art. But I want to tell you, some of the Taekwondo people that I know, they're very good at self-defense, inside fighting, locking, joint locking, and weapon deployment, and all that stuff. I know some Taekwondo people that have been bodyguards to some of the political leaders in Korea, and I've trained with some of their students, and I got respect. So therefore, respect all arts. You know what I mean? Because there's every art is a martial art, right? And if you don't spend enough time, you know, in it, or have an open mind to understand it, you're gonna have all these prejudices about it and all these biases that often get countered. You know, and you
Yeah.
reach the stage where, hey, man, we're all the same. You know, we're all the same.
Yeah.
We're all the
Yeah,
same. Respect all arts. Respect all people.
yeah,
Everywhere
man.
around the world, no matter who you are, your background, wherever we're coming from.
Yeah,
Chris, I have one last question though. Okay, let's
yes,
talk
sir.
about martial arts movies. What's your favorite martial arts movie and why?
Sorry, say again.
What's your favorite? karate slash martial arts movie, and why?
Oh, that's an easy one. Enter the Dragon, baby.
Watch out!
Enter the Dragon.
Why? Why? Why?
What's yeah, like I thought of a stupid joke. What's Bruce Lee's favorite drink?
What's
Uh,
up?
Yeah,
I just thought of it, but that's really good.
yeah. No, Enter the Dragon, man. I've never seen. I was 10 years old when I saw that movie with my dad. It was a double feature between Enter the Dragon and Jackie Chan, Big Brawl.
Mm.
It was featured at a theater just about 45 minutes away from here. The theater is closed down now, but I've never seen a man that can like trap a hand and hit someone, knock them down, doing these spin kicks and nunchakus and all this kind of stuff. I mean, that movie was caused craze in the martial art world. I mean, right after that movie, you know what I did? I went to the backyard. I went to my dad's garage. I cut two sticks off of a broom, right? Got some chains, screws, and I started making my own nunchucks. But yeah, Enter the
Wow.
Dragon for sure, man.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Saeed, what have you learned today?
We've learned quite a bit about the martial arts world. Cross training is pretty good. Is pretty useful for creativity, for self defense, for basically respecting other arts as well. Because you don't want to be. Because even if you're a specialist at one art, it's good to know about the others. And this doesn't just apply to martial arts. This applies to like all the arts and all of the professions. We learned about self discipline, and we just learned how to respect each other. Thanks to Chris. Chris has been telling us all of these important life lessons and insights that I hope everyone is taking into consideration and learning from them. Chris, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And can you please tell everyone how they can connect with you and where they can find you?
Oh yeah. If you search up Karate Unity online, you'll be able to find me. KarateUnity.ca is my website, and
Yeah,
Karate Unity at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Yeah.
awesome. Guys, thank you so much for watching A2 the show. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Also, Chris, this is how we end the podcast. We salute to cover the camera, but this one is going to be a bit different. We're going to go,
Watch out!